Hello, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, and hello to everyone else who has joined from a different time zone than ours, the IST. Um, Today is the last live session of this course, and today I'm going to talk about Module 6. That is how we'll come to a logical conclusion to our discussion of all these modules. So, at the end of this session, I'll also be talking about the certification system, which you all are probably familiar with, and I'll also be talking about how else you can take your learning forward and how else you can benefit yourselves from this course and the kind of material we're going to share with you all after the end of this course. So give me a few minutes. I will briefly sum up or give you a recap of the things that I have talked about in Module 6. You all know Module 6 is about well-being skills. And well-being is very, very important. Without well-being, all our efforts will go in vain. They'll be of no use. That's the reason why we need to ensure our well-being. And we all are working, we all are living with the big hope of getting a good life, getting a satisfied life. So well-being, most people thought earlier, is not a skill. It just happens to people. That was a thought, but that's not the case. Of course, it happens to people depending on the kind of things we do in life. But at the same time, we can do a few things to ensure our well-being. And while we ensure our well-being, we can also ensure the well-being of people around us. When that happens, it will be an ecosystem of well-being where everyone will be in a state of happiness and a state of satisfaction. So I'll give you a quick recap of the things that I have talked about in this module. If you can recall, I started this module by saying that well-being can be ensured only when we know the things that are the drivers or that act as the drivers of well-being. What are those drivers, if we can recall? Yes, I'll give you a quick recap of the drivers of well-being. Attitude, especially a positive attitude, is very, very important. It's a very important driver of well-being. Positive attitude. I don't mean to say that we all need to live in a bubble in the culture of optimism. The culture of optimism is sometimes is very, very unnecessary and unrealistic. I do not want you to live in the culture of optimism forever. We need to know that there will be times of difficulty, there will be challenges, there will be moments of despair, dissatisfaction, sadness, suffering as well. These are the realities of life. We cannot change them. But what's important is to develop certain coping strategies with which we can encounter, we can face these challenges well. So it's all about a positive attitude. Positive attitude is not about, looking at the positive side of everything. That same thing can mean challenges to us. Positive attitude means the attitude to, bring oneself in a position to negotiate, or in a position to fight back, in a position to stand up against all the challenges and difficulties. That's a kind of positive attitude. If I can say there will be problems, that's not a problem for me. But whether I'm prepared for those challenges and problems is something that you need to think about. So that's the kind of positive attitude we need to build in ourselves. And we can be more optimistic that way. And we will know how to deal with disappointments. No one in this world can ensure that there'll be no disappointments in life. We will have disappointments, but the preparedness for disappointments will help us overcome the disappointments. And you might have heard about a form of gratitude that is, that's called the best form of attitude. So gratitude is the best form of attitude. If we can practice gratitude, if somebody has done something for us, we should always show our gratitude to that person, because that way we can release positive energy. There's something called brain hacking. We all know this brain is a very lazy creature, lazy organ, and then this brain doesn't know what's right and what's wrong. The way we train our brain, it will behave in that manner. So brain hacking is all about telling the brain that there can be something good, something positive beyond this point of disappointment. So we can do some brain hacking in order to train our brain to be ready for the challenges. So the first important driver of well-being is a positive attitude and brain hacking. The second, belief. Our beliefs are very, very important because those drive us through the difficult times of life. When it's easy, we are not tested. When it's difficult, when it's challenging, we all are tested. Whenever there's a challenge, we'll be tested. As long as it is easy, there'll be no test. So our beliefs will help us go through the challenges, wade the challenges well. So beliefs are the second important driver of well-being. Values. Values are very, very important. We all know. If I think that honesty is the best policy, if I treat it as my value, then I must stick to it. It's not that at one point I'll say honesty is the best policy. At another, I'll say, no, sometimes honesty is not the best policy. So I cannot switch or shift my values, because values actually make us feel better, and they make us more resilient to stress. Therefore, it's important that every individual needs to have some values in life. There may be collective values. At the same time, we can also think of individual values. The fourth important driver of well-being is purpose. Without any purpose, we will not ensure our well-being. What is the purpose of my life? What I want to do, what I want to get out of my life. So a sense of direction, goal. I talked about goal yesterday, if you remember. So it's important that we find meaning in a life. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us. So purpose is very, very good. If I do an action, I must have a purpose. Otherwise, why should I do it? Similarly, I should always have a purpose for my life, and that will drive me forward. I talked about the different types of well-being, if you can recall, and then I went on to explain each of these types. I started with psychological well-being, and then moved to social well-being. Thereafter, I moved to spiritual well-being, physical and professional well-being. I focused more on psychological, social, and professional well-being, if you can recall, because they're the most important forms of well-being. There's something very, very interesting that you might have discovered in this module, the life positions. You can easily recall and relate to the life positions, as I'm okay, you're okay proposition. So there are 4 types of people in this world. Type 1, I am okay, you're not okay. These are the people who always think that they are superior, all others are inferior. And they never allow others to grow, because they always want them to be inferior to them so that they can always rule over them. So these are the people who always tell others that you don't know anything, you're good for nothing, you're hopeless, you're terrible, you're stupid. And they always tell that they are the best in this world. So I'm okay, you're not okay. Type 2 people, I'm not okay, you are okay. That means they are always pessimistic about their life, their existence. And they always blame themselves. They call themselves stupids. I'm a hopeless creature. I'm not worth anything. I'm good for nothing stuff. I should not live in this world. So these are the people who are very, very hopeless. The third type of people say, I'm not okay, you're not okay. That means nothing is happening in this world. Everything is bad. Everything has gone haywire. And we all are in a total mess. So these are the people who go for some kind of collective destruction. And then we have the fourth type of people. They say, I'm okay, you're okay. That means I'm good, you're also good. You're not bad. You are good in some way. I cannot be good in all the ways. So you're also good. So uh, I'm doing well, you're also doing well. So this is a condition that will bring about our well-being. So in an organizational setup, if I can create an environment wherein everyone else will grow, everyone else will feel confident, then I know that we are ensuring each other's well-being. It cannot be that I will ensure my well-being and all others will not be able to do so. So that cannot be a possibility. So therefore, these life positions are very, very important if we can understand these life positions well. And I talked about uh, the PERMA model of well-being developed by Martin Seligman. Positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishments. So if you have taken note of those emotions, by positive emotions we mean hope, interest, joy, love, compassion, pride, amusement. Pride is different from arrogance, please note. Amusement and gratitude. So positive emotions are in fact a prime indicator of flourishing. That means we are doing well. Therefore, we have positive emotions. So they can actually be cultivated to ensure our well-being. Engagement is very, very important. I also cited the example of Csikszentmihalyi's concept of flow, if you can recall. So it actually leads to the loss of self-consciousness and complete absorption in an activity. So engagement is very, very important. It's not that I'm engaged in one thing. At the same time, I'm focused on many other things. So the engagement will not happen. This is otherwise called mindfulness, which is living in the present. Whatever I'm doing, I must be engrossed and engaged with it. So that is engagement, and positive relationships is a very important indicator. Then meaning and achievements or accomplishments. And while talking about psychological well-being, I told you all that it's very, very important that we think about the hedonic sides principles and eudaimonic principles, meaning fulfillment, happiness, resilience, and various other things. So resilience is very, very important when it comes to psychological well-being. That means by resilience, we mean coping. If I learn how to cope with certain things, if I develop certain coping skills and coping strategies in me, if I develop emotion regulation in me, if I develop a healthy problem-solving skill, then I can always ensure my psychological well-being. I talked about a very interesting model that has been proposed by psychologist Carol Riff. If you can recall, the 6-factor model of Carol Riff, you can always go back to that particular video in which it is all about self-acceptance, high self-acceptance or low self-acceptance. So if I have a high self-acceptance, then I can always ensure my well-being. If I have a low self-acceptance, that means I always blame myself. I don't like myself. I hate myself. Then I'll have a very poor self-acceptance. The second factor in the RIF model is personal growth. Strong personal growth or weak personal growth? Am I actually growing or there is no growth at all? That means, do I have the sense of realizing my potential? Do I see improvement in myself and in my behavior over a certain period of time? If this growth is not upward, if it's downward, then you know that there's a problem and well-being or psychological well-being cannot be ensured. Purpose in life is very, very important. I have been continuously stressing this particular aspect. So it is a strong purpose or weak purpose. We need to decide that. And then positive relationship with others. We can always count those people with whom we have had a very positive relationship, and we can always rely on them, depend on them. We can share our problems with them. We can seek their help and support in times of need. Or if it's a weak relation, and we can never go to such people. So whenever you are in a state of crisis, you can promptly tell with whom you have a strong positive relation and with whom you have a weak relation. You can easily tell. If you don't feel like going to that person, then you know that relation has been a weak one. And then now environmental mastery. To be able to take control over the things around me or around us is very, very important. That means we are managing our environment, the environment where we work, the environment where we live, the environment where we go out and interact with people. So if it's a low environmental mastery, that means if we find it difficult to manage our everyday life, then you know you have a low environment mastery. If you can manage your everyday challenges, everyday life well, then we have high environmental mastery. The sixth important factor in the RIF model is autonomy. High autonomy or low autonomy. It's important that we always go for high autonomy. I'm sorry for that interruption. If we do not have high autonomy in life, that means we cannot decide anything. We're not independent. We cannot resist social pressure to think and act in certain ways. We cannot regulate our behavior from within. We cannot evaluate our personal standards. Then we know that we have very low autonomy. So that will lead to problems. While talking about emotional well-being, if you can recall, I told you that it's very important that we understand emotions. All human beings have 4 basic emotions: fear, sadness, happiness, and anger. If you look at these emotions, then you can easily tell that 3 of them are disturbing: fear, anger, and sadness. They're disturbing emotions, and just one emotion that is pleasing emotion. So that means we have more challenges, emotional challenges in life than happiness or pleasure in life. So we need to prepare ourselves for these emotional challenges. So understanding emotions will help. For example, specific emotions or general emotions. So some emotions can be very specific, some others can be very, very general emotions. For example, distress, joy, they're very general in that sense. And there are certain other emotions like anger. It can be very specific to me. Something that makes me angry may not make some other that much angry. So I need to understand whether my emotion is brief or long-lasting. So we can always be conscious of our emotions. For example, if I notice that These days, I'm becoming very angry. I lose my temper. I lose my cool on very frivolous things, very unimportant things. So I can always try to find out, is that particular emotion brief or long lasting? Does it just come and go, or it comes and stays with me for a long period? So that will help me understand my emotions well. And that way I can fine tune my personality, my behavior to take care of those emotions. I need to understand whether my emotions are visible or invisible. There may be certain emotions that are absolutely visible, and there may be some other emotions that are invisible. So if those emotions are invisible, those emotions create problem for us. So otherwise, visible emotions, that's okay. Somebody can tell us, you're looking very angry, you're looking very sad today. But there are people who are sad from inside or within, but they do not show that sadness on their faces. So their sadness is not visible to others. So others will find it very difficult to even point that out. Same is the case with the other emotions. Uh, I need to understand whether my emotions are profound or trivial. That means, do they have any weight, or they're just trivial? They have no meaning at all. So that way, I'll be able to understand my emotions well. And I also talked about different theories of emotion in this module. Paul Ekman's theory, Plutchik's theory of emotions, and then I also talked about this Institute of Neuroscience and Psychology at the University of Glasgow that has identified just 4 types of emotions in lives. So I have talked about these emotions in us, and I also talked about some other types of emotional well-being, especially hedonia and eudaimonia. And I talked about the important functions of emotions in our life, because emotions perform very important life functions. They determine our thought and behavior. The way we think and behave are actually or is actually determined by our emotions. Emotions also determine our decision making, because if I do not know my emotions well, if I cannot regulate my emotions, they may influence and alter my decisions uh, in the negative manner as well. So emotions motivate us to act. Restrained anger can be a very good motivator. Okay, I'm going to show to this world what I am worth. I'm going to show my worth. I'm going to prove my mettle, my worth to this world. So emotions can be very, very, motivational as well. But restrained emotions can be motivational. Unrestrained, unregulated, unscrupulous emotions can be absolutely devastating. And emotions help us develop and sustain great interpersonal relationships. And emotions can help us survive existential challenges. Whenever we are down with some loss and we have our pain and we are suffering, then emotions can actually help us overcome these problems. So they help us survive existential challenges. Um, I talked about a very important thing related to emotions, that is emotional awareness. How we can improve emotional awareness, knowing the feeling. So we need to do it consciously. I'm feeling in a certain way, but I do not know what it is. I must stop and think about it. What is this feeling? Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I jealous? Am I unhappy? Am I, afraid? Or it can be anything. So I must know the feeling. Once I know the feeling, I must acknowledge the feeling. Yes, I'm angry. Why shouldn't I accept it? There are people who say, no, I'm not angry. If they're asked by somebody, are you angry? No, I'm not angry. Even though they are angry, they're not ready to accept that they are angry. There is nothing wrong in accepting, yes, I'm angry. I do not know why I'm angry. I need to do something to overcome this problem. And then we can identify the feeling, yes, I'm angry. And we need to accept that feeling. Yes, I'm angry. And then we can reflect on that feeling. What is making me feel angry? You might have noticed there are occasions when there is no immediate trigger, but you're still feeling an emotion. You're still experiencing it. You're feeling angry. And there is no one who has made you angry, but you still feel that. That means some past experience is troubling you, is making you angry. So by reflecting, we can understand whether it is an immediate trigger or it's the residue of a past trigger. So we can always understand by reflecting. And then we can, that way we'll learn how to forecast our feelings. What things are going to make me behave or feel in a certain way? What things are going to trigger my emotions? What is going to make me happy? What is going to make me sad? What is going to make me angry? And what is going to make me afraid? Once I can forecast that, then it will be easy for me to manage my emotions, because it's all about emotional management. And when it comes to emotional management, we know this the lease model that I talked about in this module. This lease model is developed by Lane and Schwartz. The levels of emotional awareness scale. So this visceral activation, action tendencies, discrete emotions, blends of emotions, and blends of blends. That way we are growing up emotionally. We know how to do it. When we understand our emotions, when we become emotionally aware, we can always go for some great emotional regulation. And in one of the videos in this module, I have talked about emotional regulation strategies, and I've also explained it, especially the process model of emotional regulation proposed by Gross. So this antecedent focused and response focused approaches or strategies of emotional regulation. So you can easily recall that. And then I also talked about social well-being in this module. If you can recall, then social well-being is absolutely essential, because we all are social creatures. We cannot live without a society, whether it's a smaller society like a family, or a group or a community like friends and well-wishers, or the larger society in which we all live. It's important that we understand how we can increase our social well-being through various strategies like spending quality time with loved ones. If we do not spend time with them, we'll gradually fade from their memories and from their lives as well. So we need to find time to spend with them, our friends and well-wishers or loved ones. And then we can always keep regular contact with friends. That's very, very important. In our times, it has become easy, but then uh, the uh, uh, the effort has become very, very difficult, because despite having all sorts of communication devices and channels, we find it difficult to reach out to our friends and regularly contact them. So keeping regular contact with our friends is very important. It can ensure our social well-being. Similarly, we can always join special interest groups, because these are the groups in which people come forward with similar interests or the same interest. So that way we'll get a very good opportunity to pursue our interest and be a part of that community. So that way we can ensure our social well-being as well. So we can also participate in community events. Most often we think community events are of no use. Why should I go there? Why should I be a part of it? Let me restrict myself to my couch, and with some popcorns in my hand, I can watch a great Netflix movie or a web series. So I can pass my time that way. Of course, you will have some enjoyment, but beyond that point, it will not give you a great amount of satisfaction. So it will not give you social well-being. And then we can also think of engaging in some or volunteering work. And that will give us a great amount of satisfaction because we'll feel we have done something, we've given something back to the society of which we are a part. This society has given us something, and we are now giving it something in return. It's time for us to pay back. So that way we can think of doing something. If I have the ability, if I can do something for somebody, even a very little small way, we can always do that. So engaging in some volunteer work can also give us a great amount of social well-being. And then if you can recall, I talked about some very interesting data and statistics. I told you there's a steady rise in social disconnect and social isolation. So that's a big problem. We need to understand that social isolation is a major problem today, because the number of adults who are living alone has nearly doubled over the last 50 years. You can imagine that's turning out to be an epidemic. It's a social epidemic. And there's a reduction in marriage rates, and the family size has reduced considerably, and there are instances of childlessness. These days, people don't decide to go for children. They just live to live, want to live their life independently, without any burdens, without any responsibilities. So no responsibility, no burden life. That's also leading to the decision of getting no child. And then decreased community involvement, which is very, very important. And then decreased face-to-face interactions. How often we notice four friends sitting together, they have come to meet each other, but all of them are busy with their own mobile phones. How often we come across the same family members sitting in their drawing room in front of the TV. The TV is playing some show, but these people are neither watching nor talking to each other. They all are busy with their smartphones or their mobile phones. So how often do we come across this? So there is, in fact, a need to go for face-to-face interaction. You all know the online medium can never match the face-to-face interactions. Face-to-face interactions have a tremendous amount of benefit, apart from giving us a stronger or a medium to communicate. They also ensure our well-being. So I talked about all these important things. And then I concluded this module by talking about professional well-being, because we all are professionals. Sooner or later, most of you will be taking up a professional responsibility, and most of you have already done that. So in what things ensure our professional well-being? The mindset. It has to be a growth mindset. It has to be an abundance mindset. Mindsets are very, very important when it comes to professional well-being, because mindsets lead to attitude. They form attitudes in us, a certain kind of attitude, and then that attitude leads to behavior. So mindset, attitude, and behavior, they are so complementary to each other that we cannot do away with them. So there are multiple mindsets, like the fixed and growth mindset, and then there are positive versus negative mindset, and there are multiple other mindset types. Once we know these mindsets, it'll be easy for us to understand how we can take care of these things. So with that, I come to the end of the recap of this module. We are now open to discussions. We can now take your queries and questions and your comments and observations, of course. So over to you. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for listening to me. We can now take questions, your queries. You can also write in the chat box what do you want to say.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Sir, as in the start of the lecture, you said that we can't be always optimist, like we can't always be in the positive side. By that, what
Yeah.
you mean by that we have to look at the negative side also? We can't be optimist. What was that, sir? That we have to be negative.
Yes, I didn't mean that. What I meant is uh, if I tell myself that everything is fine, everything is good, I may sound very, very optimistic, but that's not the reality. Not everything is fine around me. So when I become obsessed with optimism, when I begin to live in the culture of optimism, I will lose contact with reality. So extreme optimism will lead us to the loss of contact with reality. So while being optimistic, I also need to be realistic. I cannot say that right in front of me, I can see a problem and I'm trying to say that there's no problem at all. Let's be optimistic and there's no problem. So that will be unrealistic. I have to accept that there's a problem. For example, in relationships, people say, we don't have any problem. If I continue to say that, let's be optimistic, everything will be fine in some time. That is a form of extreme optimism. I cannot be so optimistic. I must accept, first, I must identify that there's a problem, and I must accept that there's a problem. Actually, there's a problem. Thereafter, I can reflect on that. So this is the kind of optimism. So this is basically your action-oriented optimism. Otherwise, optimists generally tend to live in their dreams, thinking that everything will be fine automatically. So most often that doesn't happen. Things do not happen automatically. We need to put some effort. We need to take the initiative. So that's the kind of optimism I talked about. Okay.
So I want to ask you one more thing that you have talked
Yes.
about four type of people, sir.
Yes.
I am okay, and you're not okay. I'm not okay.
Please ask your question again.
Sir, you have talked about the four kind of people that I am okay and you are not okay. I want to ask you instead
Yes.
how to deal with the kind that I am not okay and you are okay. How to bring that kind of mindset that I am not okay, you are okay, and I also want to be okay like you. So how can I?
Of course. Yes. There is no, bigger crime or sin than blaming oneself. We need to understand that nobody in this world is perfect. Everybody is trying to be perfect. Everybody is moving towards perfection. That's our objective. So when it comes to that, we need to understand that we are not yet perfect. None else is also perfect. We may think that somebody is very perfect. We always think that person speaks so well. That person, does things so nicely, so efficiently. What am I? I'm a good for nothing. I cannot conduct myself well. I cannot do things well. I'm not good at mathematics. I'm not good at English. I'm not good at anything. Who knows? You may be good at something else. You do not know that. So we have the example of people who were not good at academics, but they went on to make big in life. So we know that. For example, our all-time legendary cricketer from India, Sachin Tendulkar. You'll be surprised to know his academic credentials, his academic profile. You'll be surprised to know that. But he did extremely well in his life. So, but then when we develop self-pity, every morning I get up, stand in front of my mirror and say, you are a hopeless creature. You are good for nothing. You shouldn't have existed in this world. So if I engage in such self-blaming, self-pitying activities, that will harm me. So I need to understand that, of course, I'm lacking something. I'm not as good as that person. But if I try, I can improve my current condition. And there is, I mean, we have thousands of millions of such instances in which people have actually improved themselves. They have improved only when they took themselves seriously. They began to love themselves. I must love myself. And thereafter, I can think of investing on myself. I'm not investing on myself because I think I'm worthless. Just imagine, are you going to invest on a stock that is worthless? You'll never. Similarly, if I think that I'm a worthless stock, I'll never invest on myself. When I do not invest on myself, who else is going to do that? So people will not like me once I begin to dislike me. So that's the idea. The first thing that we need to do is to begin to love ourselves. No, I'm special. I must have something special. I may not be able to understand that. So take yourself to people. Somebody can say, oh, you can sing so very well. Why don't you sing? Then you suddenly discover that you can sing well. So that's exactly how people, find their destinations. And that is the idea. Okay, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Sir, good
Any
evening,
other
sir.
questions? Yes, good evening.
Sir, you are talking about emotions. How does it help to us, sir?
I didn't get the second part of your statement. Can you please repeat that? I'm talking about emotions, right?
How does it help to the students?
Okay, of course, a lot, because it is all about emotions. Apart from this body, if we have anything, it's our emotions. And these emotions, as I have told you, emotions lead to attitudes. They form attitudes in us. And that attitude results in a certain kind of behavior. That means there is a very close connection between emotions and our behavior. So we need to be very, very good at emotions, and especially students, because they are at a very volatile condition. Students, because they are facing a lot of challenges while being students, because there is a pressure of doing something, achieving something in life, getting a job for themselves, studying well. So they actually struggle with a lot of problems. We need to understand that. And that's one big reason why most of the students generally take to things that they should not. But that's a fact, that's a reality. Because most of them do not know how to take care of their emotions, how to regulate their emotions. Emotion management, or management of emotions, is one of the biggest skills that we all need to have. We must start with understanding an emotion. And this understanding will come when we stop, think about an emotion, identify it, accept that emotion. Yes. If I say I cannot be angry, I'm lying. I can be angry because it's a basic emotion. Who told that I cannot be angry? So who told that saints or sages cannot be angry? They can also be angry, because of course they can be less angry than we can be, because they have been able to control their senses, exercise that control. Fine. But we all are, human beings, so we can be angry. That's not the problem. The problem is I must understand that I can be angry, and I must understand that I am angry now, and this is why I am angry. So if I can understand, if I can reflect on my emotion, I can always find a way. If I am angry, then I can understand how I can overcome that anger of mine. What should I do not to be angry? And what should I do not to be angry for this particular reason? So that way I'll become wiser emotionally. I will be doing better emotional management. And it will come gradually. It's not that one fine day we'll develop that management skill in us, emotion management skill. It will come gradually. So that is how it happens. And for students, it is very, very important that they learn how to understand, how to manage, and how to cope with challenging emotions. We can cope with challenging emotions. So whenever there's a challenge, for example, a student has failed, and the student fails once, twice, thrice. Now the student may think like putting an end to his or her life because he or she has been a failure all through. Fine. That's the emotional state of the student. It's a very disturbed emotional state. But the student also needs to understand that there are people who have, sprung back to life, who have bounced back to life after taking several defeats. They need to understand that. What's more important in this particular condition is to develop the ability to go to people and seek their help. Most often people think help-seeking behavior is a sign of weakness. Let's remove this misconception, this myth. Help-seeking behavior is a sign of strength, not weakness. If I am facing a problem, if I go to somebody, so I may get some help from that person. Before going to somebody, before taking an initiative, if I decide to say or put an end to my life, I'll be foolish. So that's the reason why our students need to be emotionally more stable, more regulating, and they need to understand, they need to be good at emotion management, and that will help them a lot. So that's the thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Clarification.
There is a question from Mr. Rao. When Daniel Goleman said EQ is greater than IQ, what he meant by it, or is he undermining IQ? Not necessarily undermining IQ. Actually, emotional quotient or emotional intelligence. See, when IQ is intelligence quotient, so it is related to one type of thinking and one type of strategy only, that is based on critical thinking. Okay, so which is based on reasoning, rationality, intelligence only. But there is something called EQ, emotional quotient, or emotional intelligence. When you look at this EQ thing or EI thing, it is emotional intelligence. That means it's a combination of both intelligence and emotions. So when we bring emotions and intelligence together, for a long time, people believed that these two are like parallel lines, they will never meet. It is impossible to bring them together, but that's not the fact. We cannot separate emotions from thinking. We cannot, separate intelligence from emotions. So they are very, closely connected with each other. They are complementary to each other, and that's the reason why Goldman says EQ is greater than IQ because it's an extension of IQ in a better way, because it's a combination of emotion and intelligence. IQ is only about intelligence, so it doesn't have that emotion element in it. Okay, so I'll give you an example of it to explain it better. If you look at the history of railway reservation in India and how railway reservation has passed through different technological enhancements. There was a time when you go to book tickets, railway tickets, and even if you mentioned the age of the passenger, say 65, 70, 80, the train booking system, ticket booking system would not give you a lower berth because it didn't know that this person is a senior citizen and this person needs a lower berth. This person cannot climb the upper berth. The reservation system did not know it. You had to tell that to the counter clerk or somebody. You had to request them to give you a lower berth because the passenger is a senior citizen. But thereafter, technology changed. It became more and more human and humane because that emotion element was incorporated or integrated into it. So today, the moment you press, the moment you write the age as 60 and above, it will definitely give you a lower berth because a lot of lower berths are generally reserved for senior citizens. There is every chance that you'll get a lower berth because that emotional element has been integrated into the intelligent system. So now we have a combination of emotion and intelligence. Emotion, because that's our respect for the elderly, because we think they need that. That's the kind of emotion. Imagine you are traveling in a bus and you have occupied a seat. An elderly lady just boards the bus, and there is no seat available. Would you not feel like offering your seat to that elderly lady? You'll do that because there is emotion and there is intelligence. Emotion, because you need to help somebody. Intelligence, because a senior citizen needs a seat more than I do. That's emotional intelligence. So that is how we do things. And that's the reason why Goldman says that emotional intelligence is greater than just intelligence. So, Mr. Rao, could I respond to your question? Emotions affect the studies of children is an observation from Biju Na. Of course, I'd like to respond to them because you're true. Therefore, there's something called emotion management. When we manage something, we know it well. When we do not manage or regulate something, we don't know it. Imagine you're sitting in your drawing room, the fan is running at its full speed, level 5, and you suddenly realize that it's not needed. You can still do with level 2 speed. So what do? You bring the speed down to level 2. You regulate that because it can be regulated. And that's the reason why that particular mechanical device is called a regulator. Unfortunately, we do not have any regulator here to regulate our emotions. So we need to do that consciously through some management skills. So that is what we mean by emotional management, with which we can regulate our emotions. So that is how. So if students know how to regulate their emotions, I generally tell all these emotions are equally important. Anger is very important. It has a great positive effect on our lives. Anger, but managed, regulated anger. In the same way, love, which appears to be a very positive emotion, can be destructive. And we have had examples. It has been destructive if it is not regulated. It will go blind if it's not regulated. So all emotions need to be regulated. Otherwise, they'll create problems for us. So that's the reason why when it comes to emotions, this particular thing, emotion management is a great skill that we all need to cultivate in ourselves. So thank you for that observation. There is a question from Sandeep. I have a question. How can we use these life skills into professional and personal day-to-day life? Of course, we are doing that. It's not that we're not using the life skills in our everyday life, both professional and personal lives. We are doing that. There is no doubt. And if we're not doing that, how are we doing well in life? We are doing that. But then with a little amount of focus and understanding, we can do it better. So that's the simple thing. So we are already applying. We are communicating. We are writing to people around us. We are listening to them. We are actually, building and maintaining relationships, both personal and professional. We are thinking a lot, and we are, leading in different ways. And then we are ensuring our well-being. So we are doing all these things. But once we know these are the life skills, then we can do it better. That's the only difference. I never want to mean to say that we're not doing it. So after this course, we'll be doing it for the first time. No, that will be a very tall claim, unrealistic claim. We're already doing it, but we can do it better. And that's growth. So when we learn how to do things in a better way, we are growing. That's growth. And then there's a question. Have we ever had to change our behavior either at work, home? If so, why did we have to change, and how can we change that? Of course, whenever there's a need, we can fine-tune our behavior in a certain way. So we do that. We do change our behavior. And that's exactly what I meant by flexibility. Every time I talk about flexibility, adaptability, I mean that. We need to change certain things about ourselves. Without changing ourselves, we can change a few things about ourselves. So we can always do that. We can change our behavior. Whenever there's a need, we can change that. There's nothing wrong in changing that behavior for good. If we are changing that behavior with some selfish interest, then that'll be not right. Otherwise, if we're changing that behavior because there's a need for that, that's good. That's not bad. And there's a question now from Sheetal. How can a teenager control emotions as they're not sure about anything, but feel like I'm the right one only? I'm only the right one. You're very right, because that's the most difficult time when it comes to teenager. I can guess you're probably meaning adolescence or adult sense. That is the most difficult phase in one's life. We have passed through those phases ourselves. And we all have memories of that particular phase, how difficult it becomes for a teenager or an adolescent to manage emotions, especially during that phase, because emotions become extremely strong. They always go to the extremes. If it's love, it goes to the extreme. Anger, fear, sadness, jealousy, everything go to the extreme. At that, because the mind doesn't work, and the executive brain actually stops working during that difficult phase. It's very difficult, I can understand. But then before that phase begins, we can gradually train our teenagers to be good at emotional strategies or emotional skills. There are schools, there are educational institutions that are training their students to be emotionally, strong, and they manage their emotions and regulate their emotions well. So if we give them the training quite early in their life, it'll be better for them. For example, uh, teaching them or helping them talk, express themselves, because expressing oneself is a very powerful, very strong skill that we all need to develop in ourselves. We all need to help our teenagers with. Most of them do not express. Most of them think if they express, they'll be treated as weak. Most of them, succumb to peer pressure. Peer pressure. For example, if I have a community of 5 friends, if 4 of them smoke, I'll also feel like smoking. Otherwise, I'll feel I'm not a part of that community, because there's peer pressure. They all think it's perfectly fine to smoke. So, but that may not be the case. We need to help our teenagers, help our young ones with some emotional management skills. We can do that. We can start that a little early to make it. But at the same time, uh, as the friends and the well-wishers of the people we love, we need to remain a constant support, or we need to we need to continue that support system for them. It's not that somebody has done something wrong and then we withdraw from that. I'm going to be friends with you, so I'm not going to look after you or take care of you. So that will not help. That will in fact aggravate the problem. So we need to maintain that support system all through, so that we can actually lend them support. We know whenever you go beyond a certain prescribed speed, there is every likelihood of a crash. So whenever there's a crash, we must be there to support them. So we can do that both ways, by training them to understand, to know, to regulate emotions, and by remaining there as their support system. We can always do that. There is another question: how do we recover from failure? Of course, that's a very interesting question, because how do we approach failure is a very important question. Most of us are afraid of failures. We all are, and that's very natural. We do not want to fail. We want to succeed. That's one. The reason is not we. The reason is the culture in which we live. The culture has taught us that failure is a sin and triumph is a bliss. So that's the reason why we have come to believe that failing is, of course, a sin. We should never fail. We should do anything in our life but fail. But that's bad. Just look at those people who experiment, who go for trials. They fail the most. And they're not afraid of failing, because they know that when they fail, they will get something. They'll get a better insight of it. When you pass, you'll not be able to understand the whole thing. I can cite the title of a very famous motivational poem written by an American poet, Emily Dickinson. Success is counted sweetest by those who never succeed. So they know the value of success. So if I fail, I know the value of triumph, victory, or success. I know the value of it more than anybody else does. So there's no reason to be afraid of failing. If we fail, we are probably getting something from it. It's all about the mindset, the abundance mindset or the scarcity mindset. If I show you a glass of water, for example, this glass, And if I fill it up to the middle, and then if I show you, some of you may say this is a half full glass, and some others may say this is a half empty glass. So it's all about how we approach it. Half empty, whether we are looking at the emptiness or at the fullness. It is half full and it is half empty. Both ways it is correct. It is all in the mind. So it's very important that we understand. So if I think that failure is very bad, I should never fail, then it will hit me the most whenever I fail. If I think that I should not fail, but if I fail, I should get something out of it, that will be a gain. So that's the difference. So I cannot guarantee that I'll not fail, but I can guarantee that from my failure, I'll get something. I can guarantee that. Because every failure has a big life lesson. No failure goes in waste. And this is one big reason, especially those people, those participants who are into academics, I can tell it to them that there is a journal that is called Journal of Failed Research. It is one of the most important journals globally, the Journal of Failed Research. That means all failed researchers are reported to that journal. So when I fail, I learn, others also learn from my failure. So failure has a lot of learning lessons for us. And that's the idea. So we can always recover from failure. If I say, I'm going to analyze my failure, I'm going to get something from it. So these are the three reasons because of which I failed. So that's my gain. The next time I'll not repeat. So failure has a lesson. We can recover from failure that way. Now, thank you. There is another question. How can we handle the fear of rejection in every aspect of life? So if I do not reject myself, no amount of rejection will ever scare me. We are afraid of rejection because we think if we are rejected, it will mean that we have been rejected by everyone, others and ourselves. Let the entire world reject me. As long as I accept me, I'll not be worried. I'm accepting me. That's perfectly fine. The world will reject me today, but tomorrow they will accept me. But if I reject me, today, if I reject myself, they're not going to accept me. That's for sure. If they reject me, I accept, they may accept me. If I reject, they will never accept me. So that is the thing. So we should not be afraid of rejections and how often we are rejected. But then that doesn't matter. Fine, let them reject. Someday they will accept. And we have such examples in life. And those examples actually make us stronger. How often people reject before accepting them. So there are some fortunate people who get acceptance early. There are others who get acceptance a little late. But ultimately, those who do not reject themselves, they get acceptance. That's the thing. How to control our monkey mind. So why is it necessary for us to control the monkey mind? So the monkey mind can also be helpful at times. Of course, if you mean hopping mind by monkey mind, I can tell you to stop and think. This is a strategy that we can employ. Instead of always moving from one place to the other place, instead of always doing something, we can take some time to think, reflect. So if we do that, we can actually overcome this hopping problem, or jumping from one place to another, one idea to another idea, one thing to the other idea, if you mean that by monkey mind. I have some technical issues. Okay, fine. That's fine. No issues. Yeah, this is an addition from Esther MacLean. Thank you for that addition, Esther. This relates to the discussion on teenage emotions. The teenage stage is like a bridge. Do I stay on this side or do I cross over? Of course, this is where good parenting skills will assist that. That's true, absolutely true. Because it is all about the support system. Teenage is one period when people think, especially the teenagers, think that our friends are our only support system. All others are our enemy. Our teachers, our parents, they all are enemy. Only our friends are our support system. So that's the time when teachers, parents, and the elderly people need to prove to the teenagers that they are also their support system. So that's absolutely true. Thank you for that addition, Esther. How do we become self-confident? Sandeep has asked. Of course, you can be self-confident by doing a few things, just a few things. As I generally say, we must start by loving ourselves. I must love myself. Otherwise, I cannot give myself a chance. I'll not give myself a chance. Just imagine when we are in love, we like to do things for our partner, our love interest. Why? Because we love them. We love them a great deal. And that's the reason why we do things for them. We have instances where people have sacrificed their lives, their wealth, their positions for their love interest. We have examples of this. The simple reason is we love them. When we love ourselves, we will also want to do things for us because we love ourselves. So when I love myself, I would like to do things for myself. That means I'll ensure that I grow, I become confident, I remain happy, and I live a good life. Simple. So when I love myself, I will like to give certain gifts to myself. Just imagine we are approaching Valentine's Day in about 2 weeks from now. We'll be even less than 2 weeks from now. We'll be approaching Valentine's Day. So during Valentine's Day, lovers give each other wonderful gifts because they love each other. So if I love myself, I would also like to give myself certain gifts. And what are those gifts? Confidence is one such gift that I'd like to give myself. I would like to go for self-development. What can I do to be good? I'll think, and then I can prepare a list. 1, 2, 3. If I do 3 things, I'll be better than what I am today. I'll do that because I love myself. So what things should I do to be good or better in interpersonal skills? I'll do that because I love myself. So simple. So to become self-confident, I need to give myself a chance. I should give myself a chance. I must, create my support system. Because we all know whenever we have a support system, we will be confident and even overconfident. For example, if I have a bodyguard who is very well built and all that, then see how I walk around the market. Because of that bodyguard, the support system. Simple. I must create my bodyguard, my confidence, my self-worth, my beliefs, my values, my self growth, all these things. So they are my bodyguards. Once I build them, carry them with me, we'll do that. That'll be easy. We love others, but if we instruct them, that this is right and this is wrong, and they are responding that they know everything and they manage all things, then as a mentor, what we do, there is no need to instruct anybody. Dr. Ankita, thank you for that question. There is no need to instruct it because we know we are living in an era where everyone thinks that they know everything. They are no less than us. So this is not the era, not the time where we would like to give some instruction to anybody, not even our young children. They know more than us because they are digital natives. They know more than we do. So there is no need to give instructions. There's something that we can do. It's a silent communication. No words required, no sound required. Silent communication of our concern from our loved ones. That we care for you, we love you, and we care for you. And these are the things that we can do. I generally stress on this we language because I, you, when the conversation becomes, takes place between I and you, it actually leads to problems. Let's say, I want you to do this. It will be a problem. The moment you say, let's do this, that means you are also involved. That will have a better or positive impact on this. So let's not, create garbage. Let's not create it. I'm also involved in that. Let's not create. You and I, both, we. So let us not. So this we language has a wonderful effect on the psychological state of our listeners. We language. But the moment the language becomes I versus you, that will create problems. So instructional language, commanding language, is generally I versus you language. It's not we language. So we can adopt that we language to do this. So there is no need to instruct anybody because they will not agree. So there will be a crossed transaction, if you remember, a crossed transaction. Why are you always instructing me? Do you think I don't know? Or do you think you know better than I do? So this will be the responses. So that is it. Yes, so I can take one last question before we end this session. But before that, let me tell you, you all are familiar with the certification process. There are two types of certification processes, or two types of certificates. Certificate of participation. It requires participation in at least 3 discussion forums and completion of each quizzes with 50%. That's one. And that's one big reason why we extended the quiz submission deadline to 22nd of January 2023, midnight. Because some of our learners joined us quite late and they needed more time to take a look at the earlier quizzes. The second type of certificate, which is called the certificate of completion, it requires participation in at least 4 discussion forums and completion of each quizzes with 60%. So these are the two modes or 2 types of certificates and 2 modes through which you can earn your certificates. By tomorrow midnight, that is 22nd of January 2023 midnight, you are required to submit your quizzes, all the quizzes. And thereafter, the quizzes will be automatically evaluated. Your certificates will be prepared accordingly, and you'll receive your digital certificates in your profiles within a couple of days. And around the same time, we are also going to share further reading material or material that you can explore in order to enhance your life skills. And you'll also receive some text content on each of the modules. So that text content will not be directly related to this module, directly in the sense that it will not be a transcript of the modules, but an extension of the modules and an explanation of the modules. That means you'll get to know more about each of the modules with the help of those text content. Plus, we will also share a list of some interesting, material, some interesting books, articles, and of course, a link to a few very interesting websites that you can explore on your own beyond this course, and you can enhance your life skills in a much better way. And as I always say, this is just the beginning. This is uh, not the end of it. This is just the beginning. You're just starting your exploration of life skills or your life skills journey. So hereafter, you'll be exploring these life skills further, and you'll be feeling confident, and you will be doing well in life. So I can take one last question, or it can be a comment, it can be an observation, it can be a suggestion. I'll take one last thing, and then we will call it a day, and we'll also call it a farewell as well. So thank you. So if you have a question, that's fine. Otherwise, we can call it a day for now. Yes.
Thank you, sir, for your
Yes.
eye-opening session. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be responding to one last question. It's yes. It's from Santosh. Yeah. How can someone do a job without any interest in it, and they're doing only for the sake of money? What about their emotions in that time? Because today so many are doing their jobs like this. You're absolutely right. But then, well within themselves, they're not happy. Simple. They're not happy. Just showing that they are happy, but well within themselves, they're not happy. Because every time they come across somebody who is doing a lot, who is excelling, who is growing, those people will find very difficult to face that reality. So they are, escapists. They avoid. They live in the culture of avoidance. So we have such people around us who don't do anything. They're just interested in earning money, and they're doing that. Okay, but then they will not be happy in the long run, because they will gradually develop some kind of scare for those people who are doing well in life. And that's it. And then we have a few more questions. How can we break out of assumptions? Of course, we can do that only when we tell ourselves it's brain hacking. Only when we tell our brain that, no, this may not be true all the time. This is generalization, the problem of generalization. So one experience leads to a generalized experience. If you find a woman driving in a bad way on road, I cannot say, and I should not say, that all women are bad drivers. That will be a generalization. That will create an assumption in my mind that all women are bad drivers. That may not be true. So if we avoid generalizations, we can do this, break assumptions. So thank you very much. I feel great to thank you all for being wonderful participants of this course. And your suggestions, your observations have already been noted, and we are going to work on those things. So when we offer this course in its second cycle, which will be open very, very soon, sometime in March, and this course will be offered again sometime in mid-April or by the end of April. So you can, if you think this course has helped you in some way, you can also spread the word. You can help your friends to come forward and be a part of this course. And we have also taken your suggestion of designing similar courses and offering to such courses to you in future. We'll be doing that. We'll be coming up with some interesting courses very soon, especially courses that are related to our professional and personal lives. and we'll be offering them very soon to you. So I'm really indebted to all the participants, all the learners on board, because they have been such wonderful participants. And thank you for helping me, being wiser and learning a lot of things from you as well. The way you participated in the forums that actually excited me a lot and motivated me a lot to do better things in future. So thank you very much for being a part of this course. For now, I'm saying goodbye to all of you. I wish that all of you do well in your lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your valuable time to spend for us, sir.
Thank you. Sandeep, you can speak better than I do. Yes, I look forward to that day when you actually excel me. I'll be very, very happy. Just invest on yourself. It will happen. Don't worry. Sometimes it happens a little late, but it will happen. So thank you. So I'm ending this session for all of us now. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.